What is fasting and why do we fast? Well, fasting is taking your attention away from everything else, especially food, and onto God. That is fasting. Now, why do we fast? We fast not so that God can do something for us. We fast in order to raise our spiritual antenna so that we can hear from God. What you need right now is a word from God. And one of the things that will position you, that will position your spirit or activate your spiritual senses so that you can hear from God is fasting. And like I said, fasting is, taking your attention away from everything else and on to God. When you take your attention, especially away from food and on to God, then we are saying that you are fasting. And that fasting, it raises your spiritual antenna. It activates your spiritual sense of sight, of hearing, of smell, of taste, of touch. That's why when many people are fasting, they'll say, well, God visited me. God did not visit you. God has always been with you. God said, lo, I am with you always until to the end of the age. So God did not leave you. Guess what? Your spiritual senses were not sensitive enough to see God or to see the angels around you. It means you are not sensitive enough to actually sense the spiritual environment around you. So what does fasting do? Fasting raises the spiritual antenna so that you can hear from God. It activates your spiritual senses so that at least you can touch things in the spirit. You can see things in the spirit. You can hear things in the spirit. You can smell things in the spirit. And you can taste things in the spirit. So that's what fasting does. But it starts with you separating yourself from everything else and concentrating all your energy towards God, all your attention towards God. When we read from the book of Proverbs, God said, my son, attend to my words. What is God telling you? He's saying, pay attention to what I'm saying. So God has always been speaking. But guess what? Very few people have been paying attention. So when God is speaking, He's expecting you to pay attention. Most of you are saying, I want God's attention. Well, you don't really know that God wants your attention. So when you are in prayer and fasting, you separate yourself from everything else. You channel all your energies, all your mind, all your heart towards God. Now, you cannot afford to be distracted. That is genuine fasting.